I'm taking a few minutes here to live stream. Hopefully we'll get on with Zennie and we'll do a live stream together and we can discuss the things that have been happening. But so the big news, I guess, is the fact that John Fisher actually gave an interview. It's been, frankly, years since he's been on camera to answer questions or anything from anyone. Dave Cavill's been his mouthpiece for the last few years, and anybody with trying to get their fix for some hopium here, well, it ain't happening. Really what came out of it was honestly some softball questions with zero follow-up. Nobody pressing any of these issues with things that are pretty much verifiable lies. You know, the entire situation has been a farce, if you ask me. You know, Oakland didn't really do what they needed to do in a lot of respects, but the A's certainly didn't help the situation, and that's just a matter of fact. The A's pussyfooted around it, and in talking to several of the council members via DM and such, you know, once the A's made that land deal and pivot to Las Vegas back in the spring, nobody will answer their questions really of like if all they were going to do was settle on a small piece of land with no ancillary development and so on, why didn't they do it in Oakland? And that's a big question. You can do it faster and cheaper in Oakland right now. It's ready to go. According to Rebecca Kaplan, the vice mayor and the city council member at large for the city of Oakland. So, like, there's zero pushback on that. Fisher said that Oakland didn't live up to its end of the bargain when it came to offsite infrastructure. The A's asked for, I think, is $350 or $380 million in funds, and according to the city, they have $475 million that they've raised so far. I don't know if there's more coming, but last I heard, there's more applications out. So that seems to be a verifiable lie. Zennie made a comment, and a few other people have also kind of caught onto this. Where's Dave Cavill in this? He's you know, normally he'd be at least retweeting, you know, the Review Journal story. Again, softball questions, taking some sort of a victory lap. Hey, you guys asked for it, here it is. Yeah, we've been asking for John Fisher for years. The city of Oakland asked for John Fisher, and he didn't want to come to these stupid meetings. It's like this guy shows up suddenly for Las Vegas. I'm like, as a fan, it's an insult. It's really an insult. You know, maybe it pencils out better in Las Vegas somehow. I don't know. But, you know, why can't you just build something in Oakland? It never really got to that point. And anytime it got close to something, they would run away and change and pivot. It was always pivot. Which does lead me to the idea of Oakland was never an option. I mean, as when Fisher bought the team, he and Lou Wolf were looking at Fremont and then San Jose. And if they didn't get that, you know, they had to go somewhere else. And I think they BS'd Oakland so they can get that ability to move somewhere else. And Vegas became an option. You know, there's talk of a lot of talk lately about Salt Lake City, not just for baseball but for hockey as well. But this leads me to another point, which is this feels like a setup. And I say that in the fact that there are, I believe, 8, maybe more, who knows, your team could be next, teams from MLB who are in the process of relocation, threatening relocation, talking about relocation if they don't get their way. And people are like, well, why don't these people do it themselves? Well, it's more money for the guys who own the teams. If they're all out there sharing the profits and so on, a relocation means potentially money in their pockets. So that's great for them. I don't know how it really affects baseball in the long term. Is it better? Is it worse? I always look at going to a new city as that's a lot of money to pay. You're not looking at just a stadium. You got to get fans. So that means you got to get players and so on. But I've always called bullshit on the idea that you need a stadium to make money and have fans. If you're getting a cut of the proceeds from sodas and t-shirts and all that other crap, and maybe parking, I don't know how much they get of that. Half of it? 10%? I don't know. You'll sell a lot more t-shirts and hats and jerseys if you have a team that people want to give a shit about. And that's really what it comes down to. The A's have become a team that nobody gives a fuck about. And pardon my French here, but nobody cares about it. You get the people online who are like, get over it and move on. No, we've been kicked in the teeth for almost 20 years. Before Fisher was shot, just garbage in, garbage out, and they expect us to stay loyal and go to the games for what? If you make a shit movie, I don't care how much a fan I am of Steven Spielberg or George Lucas or Martin Scorsese. If you keep making crap movies, I'm not coming to the theater. But that's what they think is going to happen? I'm supposed to sit here and support this bullshit? Go fuck yourself. Again, being very blunt with my language here, because I've had enough. I've had enough of the lies and treating the fans like fucking idiots. We're not. We have the receipts. We dealt with this shit with the Raiders, just going through lie after lie after lie. It's been this way, and none of these other journalists will grow a sack and ask a damn question. Mick Akers, by the looks of it, it's paid PR. Everything is shiny and fabulous in Las Vegas. They don't report shit that's bad hardly. They went like to do this with the Raiders. It was more of this sunshine and rainbows bullshit. Unfortunately, I don't see any way out of this mess. John Fisher says he hasn't thought of selling, and I don't think he said he doesn't want to sell, but I'll have to go back through the things, but I guess he doesn't plan to sell, but he's lied about other things too, so who knows what else is on the table. If this doesn't work for him, what else is there? Pivot again and spend millions of dollars trying to relocate to another city? I mean, they've wasted so much time with all this stuff. They could have been done. They could have been done if they built at the Coliseum. They could be on their way right now, shovels in the ground shortly, if they would have stopped fucking around at Howard Terminal. It's a mess. And then this relocation committee is a farce. It's an absolute farce. Of those 8 teams that I talked about with relocation, was the A's, the Brewers, Mark Anastasio, I think is his name, is the owner. Anyways, they threaten relocation if they don't get a renovation. Then you got the Royals, who are pretty much pulling the same shit. They want $2 billion for a downtown ballpark with ancillary development. And then the third team is the Braves, another team who has had multiple relocations, from be it the when they were the the Boston Braves, and then the Milwaukee Braves, and now the Atlanta Braves, and then they've rebuilt and semi-relocated within the Atlanta area. I mean, it's like, this is a setup as a huge conflict of interest, if you're asking me. But then you have the Orioles, who are kind of doing the same crap. They're on their final year of their lease, and they have, I believe, $600 million to do renovations. And they want to do, not necessarily in the park, they want to go around the park. They want to kind of build a ballpark district, which honestly would be great. If you guys remember, I did a live stream last August from Baltimore, and they have a little area just right across the street from the ballpark, and it was jumping, and they were just playing the A's. The A's suck, you know? And Baltimore wasn't doing much better. But the fans were there. They came out. Great ballpark. I don't know what they need to renovate. The other teams, you got Arizona now flirting with it. 2 teams in Arizona now are trying to get the fuck out. The Coyotes are another team. They're flirting with relocation. They couldn't get a deal done there. The public shut them down on that one. They weren't going to give them tax money for a new arena. While now they are playing in a college ice rink arena, whatever you want to call it, with only a couple thousand seats, and they can't even sell that shit out. I'm like, no, nobody gives a crap. The problem isn't ballparks and stadiums and arenas. The problem is shit owners who have no fucking clue about how to run a team. No clue. I mean, that was another thing that popped up in the Fisher article. Was John Fisher really wasn't a fan of baseball. He mostly liked the Red Vines. Why the fuck are you buying a baseball team? You have no idea how a team works. You don't really care about a team. You're just buying it to buy it. You're a dick. If you're doing that, dude, frankly, that's a dick move. You want to do it and you want to run a team into the ground. If it's just money for you, there are better ways to make money than operating a sports franchise. There's just better money. Sell the fucking thing, take your $1 billion, and let somebody else run it. You know, and it's the same thing that's going down in these other cities. The Rays are in trouble. That was another one. I'm like, hell, why aren't they part of the relocation committee? Well, because that relocation committee will happen again when they decide they want to move. And who will be on that one? Oh, probably the same people. Probably fucking John Fisher. He'll be on the relocation committee? Is that who it's going to be? Because this is set up to fail. The whole thing is the ownerships of these groups all get a cut of the money. They all get a piece of it. It's in their best interest not to stop a relocation, but to have relocation so that somebody's giving them the fees. This was the argument with the Raiders. Is it's set up to enrich the ownership groups. And, you know, if I'm taking, you're looking at billions of dollars in public money. And we're not just talking the MLB and the NBA has teams who want to expand and relocate. We have the NHL, we have NFL. I mean, how much money are the Bills about to get for their stadium? This shit needs to be illegal, honestly. If you're a billionaire and you got a baseball team, you're not rooted anywhere. I mean, at least be honest with yourself. You know, do at least what Korea does, you know, and Japan, and be the, you know, the Nippon Ham Fighters. You know, be, I don't know the name of the team over in Korea, but they're corporate sponsor names. They're not the Seoul whatever or the Tokyo. There's the Tokyo Giants. They do exist. But most of these teams aren't, you know, city based. They are corporate based. At least it takes the sting out of it when the Sony, whatchamacallits, go somewhere else, you know, and Mitsubishi guys go over there, you know, okay, it's not my town. They play in my town, but I don't have that connection. Maybe I don't know how that feels, but I feel like it would be less of a kick in the balls if we at least did that. That way, when your team decides to move, you're like, well, I won't buy Sony anymore. You know, it's kind of like that. You know, we're putting fucking names on stadiums. You know, it's not the Oakland Coliseum, it's the Ring Central Coliseum. You know, it's not the Giants ballpark. It's, I don't know what it is. It was at Oracle Park now. You know, they change it every 5 years, it seems like. At least the Yankees play at Yankee Stadium, you know. This thing seems just like an absolute scam for money. And the thing is, if a team isn't paying $1 billion for a stadium out of their own pocket, and they're getting us to do it, they get to pocket the money that they're not spending on the stadium. That's bullshit. And they have to go to another city for relocation and then still be on the teat of the league for the revenue sharing is a slap in the face again. If I'm an owner, I'm like, fuck this guy. No. Sit your ass back in Oakland, make it work. But I'm not the rest of them. They just reelected Rob Manfred to another fucking billion years. I don't know, this asshole should have been out of the league, but apparently he's making them money. They must be happy if they re-upped his deal. So that feels like a scam to me. I mean, and I brought this up and people are like, yeah, that's what happened in Sacramento, and this is what happened here. Is you get these people who have they have something in it for themselves. They're self-enriching. But the thing is okay, maybe John Fisher doesn't want to sell. If he's self-enriching himself, which is what that means, if he's making money for himself, I don't know, is this any worse than when the Dodgers were forced to sell a few years back? I don't know to what extent. You know, I've seen teams be forced to sell for less, you know. Why isn't MLB stepping in and kicking this fool out? If today he was trying to buy a team, they would laugh him out the fucking door. They'd be like, yeah, I gotta go, bro. You don't got no money. He's borrowing money from his parents now. It's like, I guess that's how they do the funding scheme. Like, I don't get it. Like, how is this dude an owner? You know, if you're gonna give up equity in the team, why don't you give up equity in the team here? There was another thing I thought about. I'm like, what prevents somebody else from just buying a dude a stadium? I don't know. Do it on a promise. You're like, hey, if you do decide to sell a team, I get it. I get first crack at it. Or let me buy a piece of the team and I'll pay for the stadium. I get something back out of it. Or why can't we just build a stadium and then pay us, you, me, not the public, city, county, state, but you and me. Why can't we form our own company and buy our own damn stadium, and we'll just take a cut off the top, just like anybody else does. We want a percentage until we get our money back. You know, we don't get that option. And for somebody to come along and be like, oh, you know, stop whining about it, go fuck yourself. You know what? They always say that. They always say that. And I have to think that if people don't stand up and say something, they're just going to do what they want. And if we do, maybe, just maybe, we'll affect something. Because people said, hey, quit whining to the people who marched for civil rights and women's suffrage, people who went on strike for better pay. There are things that going out there and getting loud and being an asshole, honestly, accomplishes. It actually works sometimes. We don't have to go to war to make something happen. Not physical fighting and people dying war, but you know, a metaphorical war, I guess. You know, we got to go out, we got to get loud, we got to anger some people. If it doesn't work, you got to say, hey man, at least I tried. But to sit here and complain about people complaining, that makes you just a hypocrite, you know, because that's been one of the tropes of this whole relocation saga. Not just this one, but even with the Raiders, was quit whining, just get over it. I'll get over it. Yeah, I'm over the Raiders, but this isn't done yet, so I'm hoping we affect something. And you know, my hat's off to the 68s and the Last Dive Bar for really spearheading this thing, and Oaklandish for helping out, and really making some noise. We've been lightly involved. You know, we handed out share cards. We wore our shirts at a few stadiums. We handed out the little cards at the All-Star game. You know, we helped out. We did what we can. And we write letters. We write our congressmen. You know, we send emails. We send DMs. We do what we can to the politicians and hope they hear us. But at the end of the day, John Fisher is right about something. It is his decision. At the end of the day, it all does come down to him. And but I feel like, you know, we're being lied to. Oh, they lost $40 million. I thought they profited some money last year. They ended up like middle of the pack when it came profiting. Early on, people were saying that like they finished like top 10 in profit. But you're losing 40 million. Like you lost 40 million. Like you're in the red, or you made 40 million less than normal. Because that's what I'm trying to figure out. Again, nobody asks questions, nobody pushes back, nobody asks for clarification. They just take the bullshit answer that they're spoon-fed. But that's, I call it dumb guy math. And I took the average price of a ticket. I'm gonna say $25. If I sit behind home plate, I'm spending almost $400 per seat. I'm talking about the diamond level. If I'm sitting a little further back, I'm paying $200, $150. Upper level, I'm paying about $50. Bleachers, I'm paying about $30. And the nosebleeds, I'm spending about $10 to $20. But if we just take an average figure of 25, which I do believe is below average, times 81 games, and let's say a paltry 15,000 fans. I've been to plenty low attendance games on a Tuesday that were 17,000 fans. But let's just say 15, because you'll get a few games with 10,000 fans and you'll get a few games with 35. 15,000 fans, 81 games, $25 a ticket. You're looking at about $30 million. $30,375,000. Dumb guy math. Well, that's not even trying. That's bare bones. If you have a team that you give a half shit about, and a team that you think might be sticking around, and maybe has a bobblehead or something. I don't know. But the thing is with a half-assed effort, you can have that. But John Fisher is saying that, well, we didn't do this, we didn't do it, we didn't tank on purpose. Bullshit, you didn't tank on purpose. Because if you did, you would have been offering contracts to Olsen and Semien and Chapman and Murphy. We would have had them for longer. We wouldn't have offered the bullshit thing to Semien, $12 million, $2 million up front, and 10 years at $1 million. We wouldn't have offered some garbage like that. Don't sit here and tell me you tank the team. You don't raise double your ticket prices. You don't half-ass the food. You don't, cut out everything that was fan-friendly. You don't take that away and then say, well, we didn't do it on purpose. Bullshit, you didn't do it on purpose. That was a concerted effort. You got out of the radio game. You got out of the TV game for the most part. I haven't seen an ad forever. You cut your office staff. You don't have an actual PR crew. You don't have anybody in the creative side. You're just using canned stuff. Hell, you went to the Nevada legislature with a bullshit photoshopped image of a stadium that you admit was complete crap. It was absolute garbage. It was like, what the fuck? How do we do this? How do we do this to ourselves? This clown show is being allowed to do this. It's being fostered by the other owners and by Rob Manfred and, frankly, the people in Nevada. When I say the people in Nevada, I really do mean the legislature, because I find very few people that I can legitimately say are from that area who give a damn about this team. Most of them are some no-name dude with 2 followers who only signed up last month, you know, and there's a lot of that. You know, these are bots. So I don't feel like that's a legitimate effort. If you go by any of these, I know they're not scientific. Any of these polls on Twitter, nobody gives a crap about this team. Latest recent unscientific poll was, once the A's are done in Oakland, if they are going for sure to Las Vegas, should they extend their lease in the Coliseum? More than 80% said, get the fuck out. I don't want them there. Get out. I don't want another Raiders situation. It's not worth it. What, $2 or $3 or $4 million? For what? For what? I'm not putting more money into their pockets. They can eat a dick and go play in a soccer field in Modesto for all I care. You know, bye, stop, go. Let's move on. Let's redevelop these areas. Oakland's a mess. Oakland's a certified mess. You know, why don't we move all those RVs onto the open land? Hell, where they the little side on the frontage road, they have all the circus all the time. I swear to God, there's like a circus every other week, and like right now, it's like portable units. I don't know what they're setting up there, but make it a homeless camp. You know, move them off the streets, get them out of the parks. You know, let people do donuts in the damn Coliseum parking lot. Better than, you know, middle of International. You know, I mean, if you told me, you know, hey, the A's are staying for another 2 years while they build a stadium, and we're going to use that money directly for paying for cops to go out here and catch bippers. Bippers, if you don't know, are the people who are smashing and grabbing, smashing car windows and grabbing whatever's in there, even if it's nothing. I mean, these people are a menace. I've had my car broken into. Most people I know in Oakland have had their cars broken into. I've had mine broken into 3 times. I've had my catalytic converter stolen. And people just sit there and just look. Hey, look, it's happening. I mean, I swear to God, I feel like I want to commit acts of violence sometimes when I see somebody who just sits there recording it or taking a photo. Not even a good photo, not even a useful photo, you know, because they're so scared. Either say something or move on. Do something about it, and, you know, and that's another hard part. So we have such a feckless society. San Francisco today, they're trying to petition the courts to remove a stay. I don't remember what you call it, an injunction for them to move homeless encampments. I'm like, man, is this really what we're doing now? We're just protecting everything. We have no law. It's lawless every. Maybe that's why they want to leave, is because people are just going to come and steal everything. I don't know. I mean, just sit there and think that people do this stuff for a reason. I don't know. It feels personal. It feels absolutely personal. Like Oakland did this guy wrong somehow. Then again, he's a rich guy from the peninsula. And maybe he has rich guy peninsula racism and classism, whatever it is. You go talk to people, even poor people on the peninsula. Oakland's full of poor black people. That's their idea. I've talked to poor black people in the peninsula who say, I don't go to Oakland because I'm trying not to get robbed. I'm like, well, you're getting robbed right there. It's like, there's this weird thing about the East Bay. It's all bad. I'm like, you saw one thing. The media just sits here and fills your head. San Francisco has more crime than Oakland. I mean, granted, it's a bigger city. as far as people, population-wise. Oakland's a bigger city, space-wise, and area, but Oakland has less crime than San Francisco, but the reporting doesn't convey that. It's been a concerted effort in San Francisco media, and nationwide media at that, that Oakland is a bad place, and now San Francisco is getting tasted because the national media is going, San Francisco is a bad place, don't go there. There's homeless people and drugs and poop on the sidewalk, and you're gonna get robbed. And it's like, yeah, that's gonna happen to your town too. I got friends out in Dallas who say that happens, not at this rate. Dallas is a lot tougher. They do have more housing options. Of course, they like to throw people on buses and ship them to California, but it happens. But the general point of this whole thing has been, I'm sitting here and I'm like everybody else. I'm going, this is just lies, verifiable lies, you know, and nobody has the gall, the sack, the testicular fortitude to go, hey, dude, that's wrong. That's not what you said before, or that's what this is, and here's the paperwork to prove it. Here's the documents. Here's this, but you said this before, so why are you saying this now? Nobody's doing that. And I understand why the media does it sometimes. Is because they want to have access. And if you piss off John Fisher and ask him tough questions, he's never doing an interview with you again. You know, if you went hardball on Dave Cavill, well, you're on his shit list, and you're the next guy who's not getting it. But sometimes they respect people who ask the tough questions, and they go, you know what, Joe, or whoever you are from the whatever newspaper, you know, that's a good question, and you know, this changed that or whatever. And you don't get that softball answer, or you get the no comments, or you get something, you know, hey, you know, you're right, we did say that before, you know, and you don't get that. There's no honesty in media hardly anymore. Very few guys who are really going to sit there and go and hold your feet to the fire. And that's a tough one. It's really a tough one. And we're in this position now. Like I said, I think we really did ourselves in. We did too little, or too little too late. We're tried to do too much too late. I don't think they're talking to Oakland again. Maybe because you're only going to get one shot at John Fisher, and after that you're going to get his PR. I'm going to say, I'll keep it a little bit cleaner. I've used the F-bomb too many times in this already. But you're gonna get his little puppet say these words for me. I wish ESPN, I wish somebody would ask him a hard question. I wish somebody would bust his balls, because nobody's doing it. I remember with the Raiders relocation, Mark didn't want to talk to anybody. He would run away from the camera. Zennie tried to talk to him, and he's ducking out of the way. He doesn't want to talk to anyone. This is a guy who he had talked to Zennie before. Zennie felt like they were on decent terms, and suddenly this guy is no comment. I got to go. But what's his name? JT the Brick. All this goes down, and you got Mark Davis doing an interview with JT the Brick, and it's softball, punt, questions, nothing, no teeth. I'm like, here's a guy who talks a big game. I'm this, I'm that. He talks like he's a tough guy, and he just pussed out. Hey, let me kiss your ass some more, Mark. Where's that guy now? Because I don't think he's calling Raiders games, is he? I don't watch Raiders anymore. You leave Oakland, I'm done. You leave Oakland, a lot of us are done. We're not coming 1,000 at a time to watch an A's game in fucking Las Vegas. I'm gonna tell you what, I just came back from New York. I watched a very competitive Houston Astros, who undoubtedly have some really good fans. And you know what? I don't give Houston a lot of props, but if you go and you look at their attendance, they had a in the last 20 or so years, they've had really good attendance. Every year was over 2 million fans, except for 1 or 2 years, maybe 3 years. Big rebuilding, restructuring their system. But aside from that, 2 million fans a year. And in recent years, over 3 million fans. You're telling me that fan base could not put 300 fans in a seat in the Bronx? Now, New York has a bigger tourist market than New York City. It's a bigger tourist market than all of Nevada. They're one of the biggest tourist towns in the world, or in the country. I don't know about the world, but they get about 60 million visitors. If I remember, Las Vegas gets around 38, 40, something like that. It's up and down. I think it might be 44. Anyways, are people really come to see them in those numbers? And you need that. Now, the part we don't talk about with Las Vegas is sellouts. Well, nobody wants to talk about the part where the Raiders sell out every game, but every game's not fully attended. Now, that's a big difference. When the Raiders came to town, one of the biggest purchasers of tickets were known resellers. And that's how you get a stadium full of orange or red jerseys, is you have people who only bought tickets to resell them. Do they care that it's a sea of red? Maybe. But their fucking bank account don't. A sold out game is a sold out game. And that's money in their pockets. That's somebody buying a beer, or 3 or 12 or whatever. That's somebody buying a luxury suite. That's somebody who's paying for parking. If they're parking there, it's a small lot. But you get the gist, you know. It's somebody in there putting an ass in the seat and spending some money. And, you know, some of them are casinos and hotels and so on. And I would imagine the A's are going to have a similar thing, but it's baseball. I blame him for decaying city. Don't blame John Fisher. But that's bullshit. I do blame John Fisher because ultimately this is all on him. He came and he asked for a cash-strapped city to come up with money. And then they came up with the money and he still pussed out. John Fisher doesn't have the money. And that's one thing you guys keep saying. Blame the city. The city did what they could with what they have. Could they have done better? Sure. The crime doesn't really affect the A's game as much as, say, it's going to affect, you know, the general area. You know, people aren't necessarily getting their cars jacked at the A's game, but in the neighborhood around it, they are. Okay, doesn't take much to knock that down. You know, you set up patrols, you actively go after people who are breaking windows and stealing cars and whatever else is going on. You actively go after these people, or you do what most other cities do. You shut that area down during game time, and you don't get to drive through the gas lamp, through you know, around Yankee Stadium. You don't get to drive you just don't. There's not enough parking anyways. You're better to take the train in or take the bus or walk or do something else. And in a downtown area like that, a place like Howard Terminal, for instance, you can do that. That's harder to do at the Coliseum, of course. Very hard to do. It's sort of stranded, and I will go with you there. Oakland's crime problem can easily be stopped. I've talked to too many cops. One of my good friends was an Oakland police officer, and he's no longer. We'll leave it at that. He's no longer a cop. He's doing other things now. But he left because he was hamstrung by the city, and not just the city, but the people. People call the police, say, hey, somebody did this, that, and the next thing, but then that's it. They don't go, well, it was a black car with this license plate and this model and these descriptions of the people. They go, my shit got stolen, write a report. Of what? And then it comes down to, well, we know who did it. They know who did it. They have at least a suspicion of who they know who did what. And then they try and handle it on their own. And not through the courts. I mean, they go beat up a guy. I'll get my shit back. I just need the report from my insurance. And that's what it's come down to. You get people who call the police but don't want to cooperate with the police. And then the people are mad because the police didn't catch anybody, but the people made it basically cool to not help the police. And so it's like, fuck. Okay, so you want me to come and help you with the crime, then you don't want to give me any information. You don't want to let me come in and take pictures. You don't want to give me a description. The neighbors are silent because, nobody wants to be a snitch. Nobody wants to, but then they're going to complain. My neighborhood's bad. There's so much crime, and my car getting ripped off. My house has been broken into, but nobody wants to say a fucking thing. It's like, which one do you want? Do you want to fix the problem, or do you want to just let it keep going and complaining? And then that turns around. The cops turn around and go, well, you want me to do my job, but then you won't let me do my job. And then the people complain, and then the city's on the cops like, you guys aren't doing your job. It was, you won't let me do my job. You said stop chasing them. You said stop ticketing them. You got the county going, they won't prosecute people. It's like one thing after the next. Then you have the corporate side of it. You won't let people go after shoplifters. You won't let people, do anything. They just sit and watch, and depending on who you talk to, that's either a big or a small chunk of money that's leaving a store. But, things are changing. Things are really changing. But I don't think crime necessarily has anything to do with it. People come to games. And that's the thing. People will come to games. People will spend the money, but you gotta give them a reason. And we haven't had any good reasons for a while. We had some, and things got okay. Nobody's paying attention to this problem. They're like, well, hey, the A's were in the playoffs. Yeah, they were in the playoffs. Guess who knew they were in the playoffs? Fucking nobody. The Giants can lose, and they'll get 3 minutes on the front end of the sports talk. The A's can win the fucking World Series, and they'll get 12 seconds at the end. And this is the A's own doing, because they've never put themselves out front. They let themselves be a bottom feeder. They've let themselves become a bottom feeder of their own volition. Not signing players, not going after free agents, not renovating the stadium, not, upgrading the amenities. They did it once, and then that was it. It was over, and that was really a great time when Cable came on, and we're doing this really cool ticket plan. I was like, that's awesome. as much as I was saving money on the front end, I was spending money on the back end. Because I was going to games. I was going to more games than I paid for. So, what the hell was that? So, I had like I had a half season ticket plan, but I was coming to more games than I paid for. So I was buying more tickets. And I was spending more money on concessions. And I was buying merchandise. I felt good to be a fan, and people were feeling that. And then the rug was pulled out from us, under us, we had a good core of guys, but we never went out and got anybody. Then we lost them all, and this has been a cycle. And that's the thing that John Fisher is talking about in his interview today. He's like, oh, we're just doing a rebuild right now. You never tanked this hard in past rebuilds. You never fucked the fans in the other rebuilds. You're talking about you lost money, but you didn't spend any money. What was it? Again, I haven't seen, I don't even see banners at the damn ballpark. You wouldn't know the A's are playing there anymore. They used to have two big banners as you come across the BART Bridge. And there's the two big banners. There used to be a Raiders one and an A's one. Now there's nothing. They gave up. And to sit here and tell us like we're idiots, like we didn't see something, quite literally gaslighting us, we're going to take offense to that. We're going to be pissed off. And to sit here and say, oh, this stuff pencils out here and this does that and we're going to spend money here. Like, you said that before. You're full of shit. You're absolutely full of shit. And to find out that you're just going to go to Vegas and you're going to stay on this because you're going to go from a small market in a major market area to the smallest market in the country, and you're going to stay on welfare, yet you're going to pay for this ballpark, and you're going to keep taking the money from the other owners, and you're going to keep running the team the same way, and then somehow you're going to win a World Series, but you're going to stay on this corporate welfare. You're going to keep taking money from the community, and that's been another bone of contention with me and other fans, is you're taking money that was raised in Oakland for the Oakland community benefits, and you're spending it in fucking Las Vegas. Kicking the teeth to the people in Oakland who thought they were putting their money in Oakland, and you're spending it over there. Are you telling me that's not happening? Because, yeah, you funded a race. You just put 20-something, I think it's 20,000 out to the Little League team. Great. I mean, I'm not going to fault them. Hey, good for them, because you know what? We just came back from Cooperstown. There's my shirt. We just sent a team to Cooperstown. We came back a couple weeks ago. And, man, I think I spent like $6,000 or $7,000 on that trip, and it's just me and my son. And there's 14 kids on that team. I see some wrestling. There's nature happening around me. There's a hawk I think he's trying to get his squirrel. Anyways, so we're all spending this money. So 5 of us. 14 kids, plus families, plus a couple coaches. So, I mean, you got to do the math on that. It costs a lot of money. So good for those kids, because the Raiders, I feel like they were like, we're not going to let the A's one up us. They sent money. The A's sent money. The Knights sent money. These guys should be fine to get to Pennsylvania, and that is a long trip, and hotels and flights are expensive, and the more these kids win, the longer they're there, and we're talking weeks or months. I mean, these kids' lives are completely interrupted But you know what? They're out there kicking ass, and I love baseball. And even though they're in a place I don't live, and they're in a place that I have problems with, if I can go kick their ass, I just go do it, because just our little experience, I can only imagine how much more awesome it is for those kids to go out and play at that level. That is a high level of baseball. I have some issues with it. The fields are slightly smaller, so they're hitting more home runs and so on. But there's some awesome kids. I mean, so I can't really. I'm not mad at the kids, obviously, but for the A's to take this money that they could have been using in Oakland and putting that towards welfare here in their hometown, they're putting it somewhere else. And like that, if they're taking the money from Oakland, the money that we're putting into our 50-50 raffles and buying the community fund items and such, and they're spending it there, that's insulting. I'm hoping that money is coming from somewhere else, but this whole plan, and now this interview that comes from John Fisher, who refused to talk to people in Oakland, wouldn't sit down at the table and meet with anybody. And this is the same bullshit Mark Davis did. He would just have his talking heads come in and do the dirty work. At what point did they ever say, hey, okay, we're not going to build this huge development, but how about we just build a ballpark? Can we just do that? And I feel like if it was just a ballpark, it might actually work out. But we'll never know, because they're not going to try it. Again, the team is apparently, he's not thinking of selling it. I hope at some point he's forced to sell it, but I don't have any hope on that. Honestly, we're down to two hopes. If you're trying to keep the A's in Oakland, or at least out of Las Vegas, we're down to two things. And that is oh crap, I'm forgetting the name of it, like School Over Sports or something like that. There's an organization in Nevada that is trying to put this on the ballot and stop the money from coming into the A's and overturn the legislation. And I hope that works. And the other one is the owners voting. Now, as a lay person who's just sitting here and looking at what almost 20 years of screwing around and wasting time and tons of money, I don't know how many millions of dollars, trying to relocate and giving a half-ass effort in Oakland, and wanting to stay on this revenue sharing and just telling verifiable lies. I would have to say, no. Matter of fact, not only are we saying no, I want you to sell your team. But at the end of the day, these guys, they're scratching each other's back. And I don't see the owners voting against it unless there was something that really said to them that this hurts baseball more than it helps. And for us, yes, it hurts baseball here, but in the grand scheme of things, maybe it helps more. I don't know. But I said months ago that it's over. And I'm still having trouble coming to terms with that. That this is, how do you say it? Fait accompli. It's predetermined. This is all a show to say, hey, we did what we need to do. We did our due diligence in Oakland. We tried to do what we can, and it didn't work out. Because the thing is I'm listening to all this. It's not I'm sorry, fans. It's just I'm sorry things didn't work out in Oakland. But you're not. You come off like a sociopath in the way that you answer these questions. And by now, the Raj Mathai thing is up, and I'm going to love to take a look at that. I do need to get my truck back to the shop. My day is done. I don't want to sell any more ice cream to these people. But there's a soccer thing about to get out, so I'm gonna go hit that up, and then I'm gonna, hopefully we'll be back here to talk with Zennie later this evening. Yeah, this is just my stream of consciousness and my thoughts and my feelings about this whole relocation process. I know a lot of people don't feel the same way, and but I just don't see how this is the right thing to do. But with that, I'm gonna get back to work here. I got things to do, and I'm gonna collect my thoughts, and hopefully again I'll be back here with Zennie in a little bit. All right, guys. Well, have a good night, and like and subscribe, comment. Feel free to chime in next time, and then I'll see you guys later.